All right. Hi, my name is Melissa Miller. This is my second term in this program. I took 360, 361, and 362 during the first 7 weeks of the summer. And right now I'm also currently taking 365 and 367 in addition to this course. I work in HR, particularly in training, talent enablement at a financial software company here in Boise. My background's in math, and I was a teacher for the better part of a decade before moving into a data analyst role when I moved to Boise from Chicago 3 years ago. Coming into this program, I thought that UX designers and researchers primarily worked for software companies or companies that produced other products. So I'm excited to learn more about how there's a number of other fields that this work can apply to, um, that can potentially be a little bit more meaningful and fulfilling lines of work. So, a little bit more about me. I am originally from Des Moines, Iowa. I've lived in Texas for a number of years here and there. I went to college in Colorado and I started my teaching career in California before heading back to Chicago and then moving here, which we're hoping is a pretty permanent move. So in my free time, I do ceramics, I read. Lately, I've been doing a lot of yard work and taking my new puppy Simon on adventures in the foothills. So I'm sharing a couple of things here. Um, so this is my personal website, which I'll link to. I just wanted to share a couple of quick pictures. So I have a number of paintings and other media here. This is a self-portrait I did several years ago for a class. It's a complimentary color self-portrait with a yellow, green, and a red purple were the two colors that I chose. And I also just wanted to point out, I said I did a lot of ceramics. So these are a little bit outdated, but these are some examples of my ceramics. I have a couple of other media on here, and this website was mainly for my lesson plans. So I have examples of some of the lesson plans I used in elementary grades here. Um, there's a variety of things I'll link to here. And I also have some examples of what I did with my secondary students as well. So these were middle school and high school students with a variety of like unit plans there as well. So feel free to look at those. And I also, like I mentioned, taught math for a long time. So I have a separate website for teaching math, and I'll link that there. So go back here. Whoops. Okay. The two forms of communication that I use the most are likely email and phone calls. I use emails for more professional exchanges, and it also helps me organize my thoughts before communicating. I often need to outline the conversation points or what I need from somebody. Also, I like email because it helps me it gives people time to kind of read and respond. I often do not need an immediate response for what I'm emailing. So that's a little bit different than a phone call. However, I do prefer having a lot of phone calls over other forms of communication because I find it easier to just have a conversation instead of the back and forth of an email. It's also helpful when the conversation is really nuanced and I need to explain some things, or perhaps in situations where I'm not really sure what I need to be communicating, I need to kind of think it through myself. So it's helpful for me to orally process some of those things with a thinking partner. One of the reasons for this is also that most of my friends and family live all over the country. So, on a personal note, conversations help me keep in touch with them in ways that like texting doesn't. I do text sometimes and often find it easier to have a conversation with people, but texting is sometimes the more appropriate route to go. So at work, I make use of our messenger service through Teams. We used to use Jabber. And often when I need to get a hold of someone with a quick, small question, and that just seems like the more appropriate mode of communication. While I find that useful at work, I don't really have a need for that like texting doesn't fulfill in my personal life. I've used things like GChat or other instant messengers or even like Snapchat, but found them more as like a little toy than an actual useful mode of communication. So I found that most of the people I needed to talk to weren't available or didn't use that feature. I make use of snail mail often to keep in touch with long distance friends as well, but it's not one of my main modes of communication. I also have accounts on a variety of social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. While I occasionally get messages from people on that platform, I don't often use it unless I have to. So, for instance, I've been busy both buying and selling some items on Facebook Marketplace, and I have no choice but to use the Messenger app. So, in terms of accessibility of this particular mode of communication, folks who have trouble hearing, which is actually a category I myself fall into, though my hearing loss is a little more minor than many other people's. They might have trouble understanding my recording. So, one modification I could make is providing a written transcript or closed captioning. Another is since I'm including some paintings, if people are visually impaired or colorblind, they might not be able to get the same experience out of that media as I'd hoped. So, one modification is to describe that work above, which I've done. Okay. Thanks for your time.